When I was a kid, my dad had these factory service manuals for his cars, and I used to sit there flipping through them for hours. I'd stare at the diagrams showing engines taken apart piece by piece, pages full of parts I didn't even understand yet. But I remember realizing something while looking through those manuals. A car is really just thousands of parts all working together. That fascinated me. And honestly, I never forgot that feeling. A year ago, I wasn't thinking about any of this. At that time, I already had a YouTube channel. I was making Star Citizen videos. But the channel was still small, just a few hundred subscribers. Most videos barely crossed 1,000 views. And then I twisted my knee pretty badly. For about 6 weeks, I couldn't play Star Citizen. I was mostly stuck on the couch with my leg elevated. And after a while, I realized I wasn't missing the gameplay nearly as much as I was missing the ships themselves. So I started looking at them differently. Instead of thinking about flying them, I started thinking about them as machines. And somewhere during all of that, I caught myself wishing these ships had real factory service manuals. I wasn't thinking about game guides or patch breakdowns. I wanted actual manuals, something physical, something that made Star Citizen feel like a world you could actually hold in your hands, something that treated these ships like real machines. I kept thinking about those old car manuals from when I was a kid. I remember they smelled like oil. The pages were worn out and dirty, the corners folded over, grease marks all over them. And I could actually see my dad's fingerprints on the pages where he had flipped through them with dirty hands while working on the car. They didn't feel collectible, but they felt used, like real tools people depended on. And there was something strangely important about that. You could tell those manuals were written by people who expected the reader to actually care about the machine. That feeling stuck with me, because a lot of Star Citizen content at the time felt temporary. Everything around the game moved so fast. Patch reactions, tier lists, meta changes. But these ships didn't feel temporary to me. They felt like places, machines people would actually live in and work out of. And I wanted documentation that treated them that way. So on the couch with my knee elevated, I opened my laptop and started working on the first factory service manual. And almost immediately something clicked. It didn't feel like making YouTube content anymore. It felt like documenting something. I became obsessed with the details, the layouts, the diagrams, the topography, even where the components were physically located inside the ships. I kept asking myself, if this was a real factory service manual, what would actually be in it? And honestly, time kind of disappeared while I worked on it. I'd sit there for hours rebuilding layouts and adjusting little details most people would never even notice. At the time, I really didn't think much would happen with it. I figured maybe a handful of people would download it. Mostly, I just wanted the ships to feel documented. That was the goal. And then something unexpected happened. People connected with it almost immediately. The manuals started getting downloaded and printed out. People were putting them in binders, using them while flying, and the comments on the videos felt different too. Longer comments, more thoughtful questions, people talking about workflow, layouts, engineering decisions. Things I honestly wasn't used to seeing discussed that deeply. And I think that's when it really hit me. There were a lot of other people out there who wanted a slower relationship with this game too. People weren't looking for louder or faster content. They wanted something more intentional. Maybe not factory service manuals specifically, but definitely a way to spend more time understanding the ship they loved instead of always moving on to the next one. And looking back now, I think that's what Thrusters and Dust really became. It stopped feeling like a YouTube channel and started feeling more like a workshop, a place where people could spend time thinking about the details of a ship and why it was designed the way it was, instead of rushing past it. I wanted these ships to feel like something you could sit down and study for a while. because this project was never really about chasing the latest hotness. It was always about building things that felt meaningful, things worth keeping. And maybe most importantly, it became a place where the audience was treated with respect. Because the people watching these videos are smart. A lot of you are engineers, mechanics, builders, people who work with systems every day. And I think a lot of you enjoy slowing down long enough to really understand how a ship was put together. People started treating the manuals like projects they were a part of. That's why voting for the next manual became so important. It wasn't really about picking content for the channel. It felt more like the workshop deciding together which ship we were going to spend a few weeks on, studying, documenting, and trying to understand. And honestly, I think that changed the project. A year later, there are factory service manuals all over the workshop now, posters on the walls, component cards stacked on the desk, technical schematics sitting in binders. Ships I used to casually fly around are now things I've spent hours studying, documenting, and trying to understand a little better. But when I look at all of it, it still traces back to that same moment. Sitting on the couch with a badly twisted knee, thinking about those old factory service manuals from when I was a kid, and wishing Star Citizen was something I could hold in my hands. Turns out, a lot of other people wanted that too. I'm Dusty Star, and my hangar's always open to you.